That's right.
I have no excuse. Show one, segment one. Stand by live.
Yep.
And 3, 2.
Hello, welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and I'm very pleased to have on the show for the very first time Ben Clapper. He is the Executive Director of Louisiana Right to Life. Ben, thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure to be here, Locke.
Talking to us about all this. You know, there's a huge issue in the national news, local news, and that is the issue of Planned Parenthood.
Right.
And it's dealing with the very controversial and difficult issue of abortion.
Right.
And I thought, who better to call than someone who understands this issue from seemingly a legal standpoint, but also from a practical standpoint. So let's kind of dive into it. You know, our Constitution says that every individual has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so the issue is, what is life, and when does life begin?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. That makes a big difference. We know that we would protect a toddler, we would protect an infant, right, because of that valuable right to life that it has. What about before birth? I think that's an important question.
Well, and literally spend hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars to keep a premature baby.
Absolutely.
And so it's an interesting question, but it has huge ramifications for
Absolutely.
our society.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about how that question, what is life and when does it begin, how that's been defined.
Sure. Well, certainly before 1973, most every state protected the unborn child's right to life. So abortion was illegal. Some states illegal.
Not permitted.
Absolutely. Some states in the late 60s began to liberalize their laws, but there was only the state of Washington that went so far as to say that all abortions after 24 weeks could be legal. So before 1973, there was not one state in America that allowed you to have an abortion at all stages. And then it was, of course, on January 22nd, 1973. That's right, the court decision Roe v. Wade and its companion, which most people don't know about, Doe v. Bolton, released on the same day, really in one day changed the legal groundwork for today. So whereas on one day, all states, abortion became legal in all 9 months of pregnancy and for virtually any reason.
And again, let's point out that this is by the United States Supreme Court, made
Right.
9 lawyers.
That's right.
I don't believe it was a unanimous decision.
It was 7-2 decision.
And so,
All men, by the way.
and we have 7 men rendering invalid the legislation and decisions by every state.
That's right. So on January 21st in Louisiana, abortion was illegal. January 23rd, abortion was backwards. January 21st, abortion was illegal in Louisiana. January 23rd, it was legal in all 9 months of pregnancy. And that's one of the myths about Roe v. Wade. People say, oh, well, it only legalized abortion in the first 3 months of pregnancy. Well, no, the way it was written, and it was actually allowed abortion on all 9 months of pregnancy. And remember, it's a judicial decision. It's not a legislative decision that gives you clear, bright lines about where you can and can't go. It really opened a Pandora's box in the abortion industry, and groups like Planned Parenthood really took advantage of that.
Well, and let's point out, you said it's not a legislative act. Our legislators, our president, are elected by the people.
That's right.
This Supreme Court of the United States is not.
Right.
They're appointed by presidents, confirmed by the Senate.
That's right.
And they're there for life.
That's right.
And they're never accountable.
And you can't go in and amend the next legislative session a decision of the court. It's not as easy as the legislative process. So that really took that out of the people's hands, and really the abortion industry, which now makes profit off of selling abortion in the thousands and the millions in the United States
1.2 million abortions
every year. That's right. Every year, which is fortunately, while it sounds strange, that's on an all-time low, because in the 80s we were much higher, about 1.6 million. So we've decreased some. In Louisiana, we're at a low of where we used to be in 1990, but that's still a lot of abortions happening, and people don't even know it.
Well, let's talk about, so the court said abortion is legal.
Right.
Invalidating all the 50 states. And then the courts and the legislature have attempted to regulate in some degree, form, or fashion the process a little bit.
Right. So the question has been since 1973, what can a state do? Can they ban abortion? Can a state say you can do abortions here and not there? Can you give women information about the abortion procedure before they have the abortion? What can a state do? And that's been a lot of the court decisions. So for example, in 1991, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, the court was deciding, well, can a spouse have consent? on abortion, and they said no, the spouse cannot consent to
Solely
abortion.
the woman's right to choose.
Absolutely, but we know it's very sad in our society that studies show that 64% of women that have abortions feel pressured by men to have the abortion. So a lot of times, unfortunately, men are playing the role of pushing or even coercing that woman to have an abortion. So whereas it might have been pro-choice, really the woman feels like it's her only choice in the matter.
Right, so we have in the kind of a shift that's taking place here. As you've mentioned, the legislatures are saying, well, you have to show them an ultrasound.
Right.
You have to provide certain time of rest
Right.
before you can actually, you tell them this is what you do, and you give them a little waiting period, that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right.
But the bottom line is, a lady can have an abortion from the moment she conceives until the moment prior to the baby exiting the birth canal.
Sure, and I think these...
Explain that.
Sure, absolutely. Well, just these fetal models here, we have a 26-week unborn child right here. So in all but 13 states in the United States, a baby at 26 weeks, obviously well-defined, well-formed, can be aborted up until birth. You're right. The partial birth abortion procedure is illegal in the United States, but other procedures can be done up until the moment before birth to bring about the demise and to kill the unborn child. Now, in 13 states, there's been a law passed called the Unborn Child Pain Protection Act that protects the baby when they can feel pain, which is at 20 weeks. So
Okay.
this baby, both of these babies right here are 16 weeks. So in Louisiana, for example, this baby can be aborted, but babies like this cannot be aborted because the line is at 20 weeks in Louisiana. That has not been successfully challenged by the abortion movement in our country.
And so the states are now being able to at least limit.
They're trying to allow. That's right, but not.
Once a baby reaches a certain developmental stage, you can't abort it. But there's this giant loophole. Explain that to the folks about the health of the mother.
Sure. Well, and Doe v. Bolton in 1973 basically said that if a woman, they can have an abortion when it comes to the health of the mother. Well, of course, health was defined as emotional health, psychological health, financial health. That's right.
What I can't believe.
That's
Because
right.
I understand being faced with a quandary of, am I going to die? Do I, or those type of issues.
Sure.
I can understand how that would be difficult.
And that was what we would call the life of the mother and not the health of the mother. There's two different things. There's a distinction between those two things, and it's important, especially in a legislative realm, to define those clearly.
Now, Ben, I noticed that you've got, 2 white models and 2 black models, but this is not the way it's happening. Abortion is happening in our society.
Well, of course, abortion, white people are having abortion, black people are having abortion. It's happening so many times. In Louisiana in 2014, 10,221 abortions happened in 1 year in the state of Louisiana. Certainly, African American abortions are happening at a higher rate than our Caucasian abortions. So,
I heard 1 out of 7 in Louisiana, and I think you told me 1 out of 2.7.
that's right. Well, in Louisiana, it's even so. It's 1 out of 5 black babies in Louisiana are aborted. So that means that for every 4 born African American babies in the state of Louisiana, there's 1 baby that's lost. We have a great woman, Dr. Kathy Allen, who runs our Black Advocates for Life project, who's working hard to make sure that this information is
All right,
distributed.
we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Life Married with Legal Lines. Ben Clapper, the Executive Director for Louisiana Right to Life. We'll be right back. Did the whole